Hello and welcome. Recently, some family members moved to the mountains and invited us for a visit. While we were there, they wanted us to see a waterfall that was in their area. When we got in the parking lot and got out of the car, you couldn't see or hear the waterfall. We had to go down several flights of steps down into a ravine. As we got closer, you could begin to hear the waterfall but still not see it. When we got to the bottom of the steps and came around a corner, the waterfall was now in sight. Because of the time of the year, everything around us was rather dry. The leaves were crunchy, the trees weren't very full, the grass was mostly dead. As we got closer to the waterfall, things began to change. There was a little green in the grass, a little more green in the leaves, and the trees were a little fuller. By the time we got right up next to the waterfall, everything was very lush and green. You could stand right behind the waterfall. While you were there behind the waterfall, the atmosphere around you was different. The waterfall was so loud you couldn't hear anything else. If you wanted to talk to the person next to you, you had to yell at them. And all around you, the vegetation was very green and lush. The longer you stood there, the more wet you became because of the mist coming off the waterfall. No matter what you did, as long as you stood by that waterfall, you could not stay dry. It was impossible unless you went to extensive measures. That's kind of like being in God's presence. The farther away you are from Him, the less effect He has on your life. The closer you are, the more intimate you are with Him, the greater the effect He has. Just like when you were by the waterfall, you couldn't stay dry. When you're in God's presence, you can't stay the same. It's impossible to be in the presence of God regularly and not be changed. People are always looking for a formula of some sort, something that will help them be more intimate with God, something that will grow their relationship, bring them peace, hope, wisdom. But there is no special formula. There is no magic. The only thing required is time and presence. You see, as long as I took the time to go to the waterfall and stand beside it, I could feel its effects. But I had to go there. And while I was there, I didn't have to do anything in order to feel or see the effects of the waterfall. I only had to be there. As long as I was by that waterfall, I could feel its effects. When I looked through the mist, my view was changed. The sound around me was different. The atmosphere was different. And the people around me who were also there began to change. Because of the moisture from the waterfall, from the mist, their hair got wet, their clothes got wet. They became undone. They weren't quite themselves. The waterfall itself was awe-inspiring. I said it was so loud if you wanted to speak to the person next to you, you had to yell. But mostly you didn't want to speak to anyone. You didn't want to say anything. You just wanted to stare at the waterfall because it was beautiful. It changed everything around it. It carved out rock. It made trees grow. It turned grass green. Now, when we left the waterfall, as we got farther away, we began to dry out. And again, around us, the atmosphere changed. The trees were not as full. The grass was turning brown. And eventually, in a little while, we dried out. If we wanted to be changed by the waterfall again, we had to go back to it. The longer you're in the presence of the waterfall, the more wet you get, the more things change. The more you're in the presence of your Father, the more you're changed. There's no magic. There's no formula. It's just being present with Him. I didn't have to do anything at the waterfall to get wet for it to be different. You don't have to do anything in your Father's presence. It's not about begging Him. It's not about saying the right things. It's just about being with Him. That's all He requires of us, is just to be with Him. But that requires some time. And for us, as busy as we are as humans, that can be hard. but it will be worth it for you to carve out some time each day. Or maybe you carve out several hours on the weekend or in the evenings after the kids are asleep and everyone else is occupied with something else. Just be with him. Just be in his presence, and you will change. Things around you will change. Just like you can't stand by the waterfall and not get wet, you cannot be regularly in the presence of your Father and not be changed. Good day, and God bless you.